I'll go over some basics really quickly before I kind of do the formal introduction. All of you have been handed a clicker, which there's a power button at the bottom. If you click that on, it'll allow you to vote. If you look at the bottom of the screen right now, there's a little program running that when I ask you to vote, I'll press this button and I'll let you know. You'll see a little timer come out. It will take about 30 seconds. We'll see how many people have voted. In fact, press A or B right now. Numbers are rising. All right, so arbitrarily we're going to find out which team you like better, Team 1 or Team 2. We take about 30 seconds. I would normally let that run out, and then I'll press stop. You can change your answer too. So the person next to you convinces you that the other team might have been better than you thought. You certainly can change it during the time period that the voting happens. And then at the end, we'll be able to show you who has won the point. I'll then, kind of like man of light, walk over to whichever team has won and take this to their table. This is worth 1 point. And then additionally we'll add up. So we'll see how that works. But this gives us a chance for you to be interactive in the program and help us decide which team is using their argumentative skills better than the other. Okay, so simple enough. Sometimes they power down if they're given a couple minutes off. So right before I ask you to vote, I might ask you to check to see if the power's on. We'll try that again, and we'll go through it. Okay. So tonight's event actually is about a semester in the making. It is an idea that we came up of as a club, recognizing that we have an unbelievable social community here at Keene State. Any Thursday through Sunday evening, if you're in the community, you're aware of a really active and I think very vibrant social community here that really enjoys developing friendships and really finding comfort within this community. We also sometimes have issues that come out of finding that type of equilibrium and that type of comfort as we develop these relationships. And we want to interrogate what those issues might be tonight. I think that we're all trying to answer a specific question during these outings and also just during our everyday interactions with one another. How can we live in a more vibrant and intense community? How can we do that and respect differences in terms of how it is we go about enjoying ourselves? We know, just in an audience this diverse, there are people who have no interest in taking drugs or drinking alcohol. We know there's some that do both responsibly as best they can. And we know that there are also groups of individuals that might have trouble integrating that element into responsible adult behavior. And we're looking at that spectrum so that we can find a happy medium where as I said, the vibrancy of our community can be positive, right? And it's not about having a night where we remind everybody that it's wrong to break the law, or that it's we are going to talk about the risk of what you're doing, but really engaging it at a level of maturity and adulthood that you guys are at, so we get to see what the community looks like. What are we doing? And how can we make it better? Because I really think that the whole reason we get together, socialize in the way that we do, is to have a vibrant community. So over the last few months, these 4 gentlemen here, as well as the rest of our debate club members, have been doing research on questions of drug use and alcohol, as well as recently, given the tragic events in Connecticut, questions surrounding gun control. And they'll deal with both national issues, state issues, and the Keene State community. So for the first 45 minutes, we're actually going to have a formal debate answering questions surrounding gun control, drug and alcohol abuse, and use. And then as we wrap that up, we're going to turn to an open forum, which will allow a couple of members of our community that I've invited to share some comments and facts to give us really a pretty solid picture as to the facts of use at our school and in our community additionally, outside of just the Keene State bubble. So that we get a sense of what really does it look like. We like to tell stories and recall events after our evenings throughout the weekend here at Keene State, but sometimes those are not always factual, right? So finding out actually what the community looks like and what's the response and what are the needs and what are our interests in terms of understanding drugs in our community. So after the community members share some comments, they'll also have questions that the debaters will begin by answering, and then we'll open it up for our audience to respond. You can raise your hand, and I'll try to pinpoint you to have you come up and have comments on the microphones that are set up in the front of the audience here. This just gives us a chance to really open up commentary about these questions and for you to share your voice. And we want you to do so, right? The point, as I said, is to start conversation so that we can find the different elements within our community, right, from both extremes and in the middle, kind of finding a common voice and finding out what our goal is in terms of interacting with or without drugs in our community. So I'll introduce my debate participants here, and then we'll get to the community members. Team 1, actually, I'll have to change the. Nothing wrong. Team 1. Graham Ayers and Chris Marion. Team 2, Ryan Scribano and Ben Horowitz. Yes, number 1 will be representative of A on your clicker, and number 2, representative of A, the letter B. And I'm Brian Knaus. I teach in the Communication and Philosophy program. I also run a summer program called Summer Momentum. Keep your eyes open for that as these weeks come closer to summer. And I'm the faculty advisor for this group. The community members I've asked to interact with us tonight are both from the Keene State College campus as well as the larger community. We have Catherine Turrentine, who is the Director of Institutional Research here at Keene State College. Nate Gordon, who's the coordinator of first-year residential experience at KSC. That's the fire program. We have Randy Beton, who's a firefighter here locally in Keene. Mary Drew, who is the director of Monadnock Alcohol, Drug Abuse, and Drug Abuse Coalition. Jim Carley, who's the interim coordinator of student conduct at KSCA. Kathleen McNally, who's the program director of the Cheshire Coalition for Tobacco-Free Communities. And Brian Quigley, who's the director of the Keene State College Counseling Center. Let's give them a round of applause and thank them for being here. All right, so without further ado, we'll get started. I'll give you a little sense of the overview of our formal debate here tonight. We're going to have a coin toss here in a second, and the winning team decides which position they'll take. It's important for me to tell you what that means. So they've had to study both sides of the coin, if you will, in terms of these issues. Both the positive answers to the question we'll put forth, as well as the con, the negative response to it. So they've had to look at both sides. They'll be asked questions that maybe personally they would love to argue one side, but as debaters also have to understand the rational position of their opponent and may even have to argue for it. It's an important element in understanding kind of what our club's about and also what I think rational argumentation is about. It's not about just your passionate, desire to believe in your position. That's a very positive and important aspect. But you need to understand the rational position of your opponent and also be able to articulate it so that A, when you're in really, really good debate, you can win, but also that you have a very clear understanding of where they're coming from. One of the problems I think that we have right now nationally in political debate is we're not listening and we're not practicing or modeling for students or for ourselves how to rationally understand our opponent's position. They're going to model that for you because internally they're going to have to at times argue a position they may not personally agree with. So each side, when the first question is announced, the one side will have a 2-minute opening argument. It will then go to the other side for a 2-minute response, and then 1-minute rebuttals in between, as well as a 1-minute conclusion response for each of them. Okay, so let's have a coin toss. Graham, you can choose. Tails. It is tails. Do you want to argue the affirmative or negative of this question?
We like the pro.
The pro side. So you will be arguing that the drinking age should be lowered from 21 to 18.
Yes.
And they will be arguing against it. Now, since they won the coin toss, the next question, the other team will get to choose. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Your mic working?
Check, check.
Press the back button.